So, hello everyone. This is Nandeep from Midas. Welcome to the Midas Civil Release webinar. And today I will be showing you the new features which have been recently introduced in Midas Civil software. Now, since this is a mass webinar, the attendee mic have been put on mute to avoid any disturbances. If you hear my voice, please raise your hand by clicking on the button shown by number 2. Okay, everyone, can you hear my voice? Okay, so I have enough raised hands with me over here. If during the webinar you have any questions, please type those in the box shown by number 3. I'll try to answer as many questions as possible at the end of the session. So this is what we'll be doing today. First of all, we'll just have a look at the list of the enhancements that have been recently incorporated. Then I would be showing the composite girder bridge wizards that have been introduced and some features relevant to that. And then a brief overview of all the enhancements in analysis and design, as well as pre and post processing features. Okay, so these are the enhancements which have been done in pre and post processing. So post-tensioned, pre-tensioned composite bridge girder wizard has been introduced. Similarly, steel composite girder wizard has been introduced. Then there have been improvements in rail track analysis and local direction force sum. There have been certain improvements in the features which are already there. Then creep shrinkage and elastic modulus database has been updated based on CEB FIP 2010. User-defined relaxations can be given now. The volume surface ratio, which is of importance if you are following AASHTO, so that has been incorporated for composite sections for construction stage. Then the Revit 2016 interface has also been incorporated. There have been improvements in how wood armor moments could be viewed for the plates. We could now change the plate local axis easily. Similarly, node local axis alignment also has been eased out as these can now be given with respect to a reference line. Implementation of special vehicles has been done. The auto generation for tendon template has been improved, and addition of steel girder section with stiffeners. So now the stiffeners, bearing stiffeners could be provided for the steel girders. Similarly, Tekla structure V20 interface has been introduced. Floor loads could be assigned to a section which is surrounded by just plates, no beams. And there has been improvement in composite section properties that have been calculated. Similarly, if we look at the analysis and design aspect, so again, the new vehicle have been introduced for the UK region. The improvement in steel composite design for AASHTO, so that is pertaining to the way the spans were taken and all. Effective section properties due to buckling based on Eurocode could now be considered. The self-restrained stresses for steel concrete composite section have been could be viewed separately now. Cable force optimization based on large displacement on creep shrinkage, the unknown load factor method, has been incorporated. There is improvement in load sequence for nonlinear analysis. So if you are performing nonlinear analysis, earlier you just had to use Newton-Raphson method. Instead, now that can be used for displacement control as well. Similarly, there have been improvements in pushover. Asymmetric sections for steel could be taken up. That is the steel composite sections. Faster processing solver has come up with the 64-bit version. 7 degree of freedom, that is the warping degree of freedom, has been introduced for the elements. Then traffic lane optimization has been introduced. I'll be explaining about that later in the slides. The diagram and table result for resultant forces. So if your deck and girder, say steel girder, are all plate elements, then it was cumbersome to extract result for plates. So with this option, you could easily do it. We'll be viewing at that in the demo. Then other vehicles have been introduced for Eurocode. India special vehicles have also been introduced. The stiffness scale factor has been introduced for plate elements. So if you want to reduce it, then that is possible now. And improvement in the inelastic hinge property. So moving on, we'll first of all have a look at the composite girder bridge wizards. So the pre-post tensioned composite girder bridge wizard has been introduced. This is how the interface is. You have to enter the layout, the sections, the tendon profile details, the loads which would be acting, and the construction stage also could be specified in the wizard itself. This wizard will generate a model as either frame or both frame and plate. So I'll be explaining this via the software now. Okay, so structure, pre-stressed composite bridge wizard. So click over here and the wizard will start. So I'll just open a wizard file. Okay, so in the layout tab, you can select what type of girders are there, whether it is precast girder or whether these are spliced girders. Precast girders would be, casted somewhere and they are just put on your span, and splice girders similarly in the same way, but these would later be joined together. So we are keeping it as precast girder. Modeling as all frames, so your deck and your girders all would be modeled as beam elements. Then you have to enter the span information. So since I'm entering 2 at 40.075, that means I'll get 2 spans of this length. Then you have to mention the deck width. Layout offset. It could be noticed from the guide diagram above what that offset is. So if you are using a curved bridge, or if you have mentioned the profile which is from a certain center line, then that distance could be mentioned over here. Similarly, if your support is skew, then you could provide that angle over here. If you go to the guide, okay, so if there are two options over here for girder alignment, okay, this won't be activated for all frame option. Okay, so over here, if your supports are skew, then should they be placed parallel to each other or should they be placed radially? So you could select that. Then the spacing would be provided. That is, when these girders are placed, they are usually not continuous. So if there is this discontinuity, then as it can be viewed from this small diagram over here, the spacing A and spacing B need to be entered. Okay, now for the substructure, you could decide whether it is with substructure or without substructure. If you say without substructure, so the pier and everything won't be there. Directly supports would be provided at the base of your girders. If you view the guide diagram for this, so this is how the substructure would be taken up. The columns, that is the piers, would be until the pier cap top, and the elastic link length that we have mentioned 0.3048 over here, that is this height between your girder and your pier cap. Okay, this height, column height 8 meter, that is this height as it can be seen from the guide diagram. If you have only one pier, then this spacing, it can be kept as 0, which will be the center to center spacing between the number of piers. Okay, similarly, the length mentioned over here, that is the length of your pier cap. So my deck width is 17 meter, but my pier cap length is 16 meter. Okay, so that could be entered over here. And then the pier support, whether you want fixed support at the bottom of the pier or you want say spring to model the soil. So that is the layout. Now once that is done, you'll have to mention what sections are used and what is the material that is used for the modeling. So deck thickness, I'll begin with the top. So the deck thickness has been mentioned as 0.25, so that would be my top deck depth. The number of girders I am taking as 6, and the girder offset, these are from the center of my span. So since there are 6 number of girders and the center to center between my girders is 15 meters, so I have divided that accordingly and I have entered the girder offsets. Similarly, the material that has to be added, now as you already know, material could be added from the properties, or you could just click on 3 dots over here and the material that has been added, material properties dialog box will open up. If you already have not added the material, you could define the material over here. Okay, but I have already done that. So we'll have to select the necessary material. Similarly, we have given the end diaphragm and the mid diaphragm. These sections have already been defined. So you can select which section is at which location. So my end support location will have end diaphragm section, pier support similarly end diaphragm, and the intermediate diaphragms, that is my one span would be divided into 2 parts. So there will be one mid diaphragm. So that particular section will be provided over here. Okay, now in this case, I am considering the entire girder to be made of just a single section. So that's why I have not divided it further. If I want to add say sections for like support section and the tapered section from support to mid, those, then I can divide. Okay, if I enter number of divisions as 5 here and apply, so that many divisions will happen, and we have to enter the start and end distances to define the support length, the tapering length, the mid span, and so on. Okay, this generate 10 points basically means the entire span would be divided into 10 points as well, and you could get the moments and forces at those locations. Similarly, tendons, if you look at the guide diagram over here, so these tendons could either be harped as shown over here for single span, 2 span, 3 span, or 4 span. For a harp, there is a second kind of a profile. So once I do that, the bottom diagrams are changing. And similarly for curved. So as it can be noticed, it is completely following a curve throughout all the spans. Okay. So we have to select for which span we are doing tendon assignment. What is the tendon property that I have already defined? So it is done. The segments, that is span 1 or span 2. The reference line, that is we have to enter these tendon profiles based on a certain reference line. So it can either be center, left, or right, whatever you are convenient with. So for now I have kept it center. Okay, so first curved tendon, that I have provided, I have only one tendon. Its transverse distance, that is from center, I am keeping it at 0 itself. So it is 0 at the center. This small dot which can be noticed in the figure on the left, that is my center tendon at the support location, and at the right is the elevational view. So my first tendon is a curved tendon, and the number 2, those are my straight tendons. I have kept the number over here as 2 and transverse distance as minus 0.25. Now that could again be checked from the guide diagram. So these transverse distance that you enter is from, as I said, my reference line is center. So from center I have given this particular distance. Okay, so as it is written over 2 at S1, then S2, then 2 at S3. So these are the spacings that you would be entering. So that spacing is entered and I just clicked on add. Okay, so that has been done for span 1. Similarly for span 2. Then the loads, just like any other wizard in Midas Civil for model generation, you could enter the loads over here itself. So what is the width of your carriageway, median, everything you could mention over here. You could select which weights you want. You could enter, modify the densities, and you could go to the construction stage tab. Now in the construction stage, say in this case it is precast, so rest of the options are not activated. But say if it is a spliced girder type, then what construction sequence would be followed could be checked. So initially the temporary structures would be placed, then the precast segments would be put into position, and then as I mentioned before, for spliced section, these segments would be joined later on. So that joining happens, Then the initial post tensioning happens, after which the deck slab is cast. Then the second post tensioning and the supports are removed. That means your structure is ready. So in this way, the construction sequencing is followed. If I click on OK, okay, so this model generation, which would take around, at least even for a experienced engineer, if it takes around half a day of time, this is done within just a couple of seconds. Okay. Now I have some questions here. I'll just look at it if I can answer those. So one of the questions is for defining the cable profile, not as the predefined templates that have been given. So in that case, you could just ignore that particular tab and you could define the pre-stressing cables as per your wish, as it is normally done. And the next question is how to define the different spans. So I'll just open the wizard again. Okay, so over here I have mentioned 2 at 40.75. Instead, if you want to give different spans, then you could go for something like 40, 50, 35. It's up to your wish. So the way you enter these things over here, accordingly, your spans would be updated. Okay, so say I had given 40, but then I had given A and B and all those things. So that's why this distance is 39. For the second, it has come to 49.85. Similarly, for third, it is 34 point. Okay. So that's it for the wizard. I'll just go to the PPT for a while. Okay, so this is as I have shown, the same spacing and offset spacing, how it matters. Similarly, the girder arrangement, whether you want them to be straight regardless of the bridge curvature or whether the girders are to be aligned along the curvature. So that means your girder would be remaining straight, but they will be following the overall curve. That you can mention, and how the loads are going to act, the wet concrete after composite section, how it is going to act, the barrier loads and the wearing surface loads as well. Okay, then this is for the spliced girder construction. So what is the construction sequence followed? So initially the support sections would be erected, then the end segments are erected and the midsection is dropped in. After that, the tensioning is done and finally the temporary supports are removed. So these are the different kinds of alignments and bridges that you could model with the PSC Composite Bridge Wizard. Similarly, coming to the Steel Composite Bridge Wizard, here the inputs are less, right? Because there is no tendon. So accordingly, with the every options remaining same, you could generate the same kind of model. The only thing is, like in previous model, it was just beam or beam and frame. Whereas in this case, you could model entire bridge as plate itself, because the girders also could be modeled as a plate element. So we'll just have a quick look at this wizard. Okay, so this is a base model. I have already defined the material and the sections. So I'll just click on Steel Composite Bridge. I'll open an existing wizard. Okay, and here in the modeling type, that's where you can select whether you want it all as frame, all as plate, deck as plate and girder as frame. So your deck would be plate elements, whereas your girder would be a beam element, and deck and web as plate, while just flanges as frame element. Okay, so these are the options. Rest the span information, skew angles, everything being the same. If you go to guide over here, this is just again the same diagram as the PSC Bridge Wizard, the difference being the way the diaphragm is put. Then in this section, okay, yeah, here the bracing is the new part. So for bracing, if you go to guide, okay, if it has a skew angle, your beginning and end, then accordingly the bracings could be given. So you could mention that angle, or you could give the number of divisions and the automatic division will take place, or you could just mention that these should always be perpendicular. So that would be perpendicular to your main girders. If you go to the bracing details and the guide diagram over here, so you could mention whether you want the intermediate bracing to be this kind of inverted V or X bracing or V bracing, or you just want it to be a single beam element. Okay, so that you could mention over here. And these are the kinds of bracings that you can give: X brace, V brace, and the inverted V brace. Okay, so just like previous case, again the girder distances have been mentioned as in where I want the girder and everything, and what span, if at all the depth of the girder is changing, then you could divide and you could apply those loads and the construction sequencing. Okay, and now this particular model has 3 spans and a bit longer, so its generation will not be as quick as the case was with PSC, but still it is quite quick. So in this case, everything was frame. So I'll just make tweaks to the display. Okay, so if I go to the 2D view, everything is frame elements. Okay, these are the bracings, the main girders, and the transverse deck elements. Now, if I just undo the wizard, okay, I'll run the same wizard again. If I'll just open the wizard, I change this from all frame to all plate. Okay, and I simply click on OK. Obviously, the bracings will remain as beam elements, but the deck as well as the main girders would be coming as my plate elements. So the 3D view remains similar, right? But the 2D view, you can clearly gauge what are the plates. If I double click on plate over here, so these are my plate elements, my main girder flange, webs, as well as all my deck elements. Okay, so now coming back to the presentation. So as I mentioned before, yeah, the types of sections, you could use composite steel eye or composite steel box or a composite steel tub section. And using those, you could generate these kind of models. As for construction sequencing, the negative moment is high in these kind of constructions. So if you want to sequence the deck pouring such that the mid sections of the decks are cast initially and later on the support section to reduce the stresses in the support section slab, then you could sequence the construction stage in that way as well. Then one of the important features is the section for resultant forces. So one of the thing is, when you are doing everything in form of plate elements, it becomes difficult to extract what would be the bending moment that is happening in the girder overall. So to easily do that, one of the new features that has been introduced is the section for resultant force. I'll just show how that is done in the software. Okay, so if you want to add such section, you can go to properties and section for resultant forces. Click on that. Okay, and there are certain existing, I'll just delete these. Sorry. Okay, there are several ways of doing this. One of them is element select, then polygon select, and structure group. Right now I'll be demonstrating just how to do the element select. Okay, so say I can clearly see in this 3D view as to which would be the part for my one of the girder. So say I am taking this particular mid girder, so I'll just select these elements from here to here. Okay, so these elements have been highlighted. I want to divide it into say 10 parts. So overall length, if I view in the isometric view, the overall length that has been selected is for the entire bridge. Okay, so if I select these, I have given number of division as 10. I have to mention a name over here, say mid girder, and add. Okay, so these kind of virtual beams, I can say rather, have been generated. So for these, the bending moments would be shown to me. Okay, so these are the different sections that are taken up, and this, if I look at, I had said that I want it to be divided into 10 parts. So for my first part, the highlighted part on the left is my beginning section, and highlighted on the right is my end section. Okay, so similarly, different parts have been made for the entire length of the bridge. Okay, once this is done, you just have to perform the analysis. It will take a bit of time. So what I'll do is I'll just open up a model in which I have already done this. Okay, so this is my model, the number of plates and everything. Uh, this has already been analyzed. So if I want to go to, if I want to rather check the moment, how it is happening, I can go to results. Under forces, there is resultant force diagram. So you have to click on that. Say I want to check My, and I say apply. Okay, so I have divided into 10 parts. So the result would be available at those 10 locations. Now, there is this certain kink also that's happening. That is due to insufficient division of plates, as well as the large number of difference that we have taken. For a better result, you can give smaller number of divisions and you will get better results. Okay, so this is the bending moment that will happen for, if I go in plan. So this is the main girder that has been selected. So for that main girder, this bending moment will happen for the particular varying surface case. Similarly, you could check for different combinations. If you want to check the results in table, you could click on these three dots here. You could just select the particular load and click OK. So the resultant forces, torsion, moment, all of these for the particular girder would be obtained. Okay, so returning to presentation. So these are the number of options. Now what I had done is I had given 10 parts. Okay, so you could enter 10 for that. The virtual beam would be generated and the section cuts would be calculated, and that could either be in structure group, element group, or polygon group. We have slides for all these methods. It can be used for straight, curved, skewed, as well as inclined bridges, and in case of curved and skewed bridges, it is recommended to use the polygon select mode. So if we go for the structure group or element select mode, then first of all, yes, for the structure group, you'll have to define the structure group to begin with. So once you do that, you have to select the particular mode, that is the structure group mode. If you are going for element select mode, then you don't need to define the structure group. You just have to directly select the elements the way I did. Okay, enter the number of division. If at all you don't want the local X to be in the direction which will be automatically taken, you could give the direction for the local X, and in accordance with that, the results will be displayed. Select the structure group, and as mentioned, in case of element select mode, you don't need to do that. Click on add, perform analysis, select the desired load case under results, forces, resultant force diagram. click apply, and these kind of see the number of divisions and all is proper here, so a smoother curve has been obtained. And click the three dot button to view the table as we did. In case of polygon select, you'll have to select the positions in between, like how there was the I end and the J end that I had shown, the beginning position and the end position. So you'll have to select these positions, and rest of the procedure for doing this remains quite same. Okay, so now I'll be taking up the other features, a bit of detail on those. After that, I'll be answering questions. If you have piled up, I'll just have a look at that as well later. Okay, so this is about the UK spatial vehicle that has been introduced, SV80, SV100, several vehicles. Besides that, the dynamic amplification factor and the overload factor, these have also been introduced. This could directly be calculated based on code, and if you want to provide user-defined input, that is also possible. Then the self-restraint stresses, that is, say for your steel concrete composite girder, due to the creep and shrinkage in concrete, certain inherent stresses will develop in the structure. So earlier it was not possible to view the result due to these stresses. Obviously it was considered, and the results that were shown were including this. But if you want to view the result due to just this self restraint, then now a result table for that could also be separately viewed. To do that, you will have to activate the self-constraint forces and stresses option and the construction stage analysis dialog box. I'll just show where to do that. I'll open a model pertaining to that. Okay, so in this case, it's a steel composite bridge, and I have modeled everything as frame elements. So the option that you need to activate to get these self-restrained stresses is under analysis, construction stage, and over here, the self-constrained forces and stresses. If this is activated, then these forces and stresses would be separately available in the final post-processing. To view the result for that, first of all, you'll have to go to the construction stage, because it's possible only in construction stages. So select a construction stage, go to results, result table, composite section for construction stage, and in that the self-constraint forces and stresses. Okay, so we'll just do it for a particular group of elements. So I'll just select those. So say the composite girders. So I'll just go to the table again. Okay, in the fourth construction stage, if I want to check for the summation, that is including creep secondary, shrinkage secondary, everything, I click OK. Okay, so for my particular element, okay, which load case at which location, so for element number 1 at I end and J end, sorry, part 1, that is composite section, will have your girder as well as slab. So what is the stress for girder at I end and J end, and what is the stress for slab at I end and J end? All of that would be mentioned, sorry, that would be in stresses. Over here the forces and the moments have been mentioned for the selected elements. Similarly, if you go to stresses, then the stresses for all the element parts and at I and J end would be mentioned. If you don't want at I end and J end, if you want at some other location, you could select that from the active record as well. I have selected I end and J end over here. If you want it at only one of the ends, then you could select that, or if you want in mid, you could select the 2x4 option. Okay, so these are the self-constrained stresses. Now the cable optimization. So if you are into cable stayed bridges, we have the unknown load factor option. Earlier, we were not able to consider the creep and shrinkage, rather the large deformations in this method. So now those methods can also be considered for the unknown load factor method. That is the time dependent method, time dependent effects, as well as the geometric nonlinearity. Improvement in load sequence. So in nonlinear analysis, if the sequencing is defined, then in previous versions, it was effective only when Newton-Raphson was selected for the iteration. Whereas in new version, this can be used even with the displacement control as the iteration method. So this is useful when both the displacement control and Newton-Raphson iteration need to be used. For say the Newton-Raphson is used for the dead load, and the displacement control could be used for the lateral loads that would be applied to the model. Similarly, for pushover analysis as well, now the geometric nonlinearity can be considered. This was one of the issues earlier. If you had to use a unsymmetric slab for a composite steel concrete girder, then you would have to define this particular kind of section in the section property calculator. Then you have to import that. It was a bit of a hassle. So now this can be given via the steel I section type 2. In section data under composite, there is steel I type 2. You make the entries over here, and this kind of a composite section with unsymmetrical slab could be generated using the template itself. Similarly, the seventh degree of freedom, that is the warping, has been introduced. So these are basically line elements, but they will have, for your say steel girder as shown over here, they'll have torsion, and due to that the stress is happening in top flange, bottom flange, and everything would be different. So now these stresses could be considered for the line element itself. You could check its properties once it has been defined, but to consider this, you'll have to while defining the section, there is this option to consider the warping effect. You will have to select that. So accordingly, its constants would be rather its constant, and the properties would be calculated, and you could view the result for torsion, twisting, the warping moment as it can be seen, as well as the bi moment, which is which is for approximate calculation of the warping. So it is applicable to general beams, supports, and beam and releases. It is applicable for linear static analysis, eigenvalue, response spectrum, as well as construction stage analysis, and the result viewing is same as the other forces. Then the traffic lane optimization. This has been introduced for AASHTO as well. So you define a particular width of the lane. There is the wheel spacing, and say overall the width of the lane is 4 meter, and your wheel spacing with the effective width of the vehicle is 3 meter. So the vehicle will be transversely moved within the 4 meter width of the lane, and the worst bending moment or the worst force that is coming in the particular girder would be taken up depending on the transverse vehicle position. You will just have to activate this traffic lane optimization option at the time of defining the traffic lanes. Similarly, pushover analysis can be performed for selected load cases. So this is helpful when, say, after the analysis is performed and you want to perform this for a certain load case only. So the entire analysis won't be performed again. It will aid in time saving. Then the inelastic hinge properties have been improved. Now the pre and post processing features. So now if you're using RSI, that is rail structure interaction, so it is possible to give different eccentricities of the rail with the section. So it might happen a part of your bridge is box girder, then remaining part is directly slab bridge. So in this case, the eccentricity of your rails to your deck might be different. So now this can be done in the software itself. Similarly, if you are generating the model, then have a look at the two figures on the left. So the unloaded model would be generated, and where in the figure at the bottom, if the load is placed, then a particular element would be divided and then the renumbering would happen. So in this way, at times the engineers were facing difficulty in comparing the results based on the element numbers. So now what happens is, based on the vehicle position that would happen, the base model itself will have divided elements. So the element number remains the same in all the models that are generated and comparison becomes very easy. Then creep and shrinkage have been introduced based on CEB FIP 2010. The user-defined relaxation has also been introduced. I'll just show this in the model. Okay, so say the relaxation pattern or the behavior which is followed in your region that has not been provided in the database codes which are there in MIDAS Civil. So if you want to define this relaxation now, you just have to give its, okay, I guess it's not there in this. I'll just define that. So I need to go to loads, temperature and pre-stress, tendon property, modify, relaxation. I have to select user defined. Okay, and okay, it's there over here. So in this way, you could select whether the time is in hour or in days, and you can input like in 1 hour 1.25% relaxation would have happened. Similarly, in 5 hours 2.25, 200 hours 4% of the total relaxation, and at 1000 hour 5%. So this is for 5% relaxation. Okay, so you could enter these values and accordingly the relaxation loss graph would be plotted, and this could be assigned to your particular tendon. If the particular code is there, then you could just select the code and rather CBFIP 2010. You could select the type and this could be assigned to the tendon property. The volume surface ratio. So earlier AASHTO provides volume surface ratio for composite sections, but earlier only notional size option was available. So now the volume surface ratio option is also available for the composite section for construction stage, and you could enter the volume surface ratios over here for the particular elements. The Revit 2016 interface has been introduced. Model could be imported from Revit using the MCT file, as well as it could be exported. Similarly, there are improvements in wood armor movement. So earlier you had to mention the angle in the result table, whereas now the angle for the reinforcement for different domains could be mentioned in the pre-processing itself using the subdomain option. Similarly, plate local axis can now be easily changed. So if you are checking if it is a radial kind of a structure as shown over here, and if you want to check the bending, so you could simply check MY and radially the bending would be available. So you know for which you have to design. Similarly, earlier the node local axis assignment. Say as shown over here, if the bridge is curved and the bearings are guided, then earlier you need to mention the angle as to what is the angle for the particular local axis which has to be rotated to provide the necessary support. But now using the reference line itself, you can do it. So at a particular node, say if you have selected, you just have to click on the first point and the second point, which would be along say this bottom bracing. So you just have to click on the 2 points and the angle vector would automatically be taken up. So you don't need to enter that value. The database section has been added for the PSC sections for US. Similarly, that is the tendon profiles also could be auto-generated. For that also the database has been added. Then orthotropic deck plates with stiffeners could now be generated in the model. They could be symmetrical as well as unsymmetrical. Then Tekla interface also similarly you could import and export using the MCT file. So that's it for the improvements that have happened. If you would like to know the details on the wizards and everything, you could get in touch with us at techsupport@mitasit.com.